In the shadowy depths of Greek mythology, where gods and monsters clash, there exists a creature so fearsome it guards the very gates of the underworld. This is the story of Cerberus, the three-headed hound of Hades. Imagine a place where the world of the living ends and the realm of the dead begins. At this threshold, beside the murky waters of the river Styx, stands a monstrous sentinel. Ancient poets describe Cerberus with a terrifying form, 3 snarling heads, each capable of a deafening roar that could shake the very foundations of the earth. His body was that of a colossal dog, covered in shaggy dark fur. But the horror didn't stop there. Instead of a mane, a writhing mass of venomous snakes coiled around his necks, their tongues flicking and hissing. His tail was not a tail at all, but a living serpent, complete with a dragon's head at its tip, ready to strike any who dared approach. This was no ordinary guard dog. This was a chthonic deity, a physical embodiment of the terror and finality of death. To understand such a creature, we must look to its lineage. Cerberus was born from a union of monsters. His father was Typhon, the most powerful and deadly monster in all of Greek mythology. Typhon was a giant, so vast his head brushed the stars, a creature with 100 dragon heads who once challenged Zeus himself for supremacy over the cosmos. His mother was Echidna, the mother of all monsters, a half-woman, half-serpent creature who dwelt in a dark cave. From this terrifying pair came a brood of legendary beasts, including the Lernaean Hydra, the Chimera, and of course, Cerberus. With a family tree like that, it's no surprise that Cerberus was destined for a monstrous role in the cosmic order. Placed at the entrance to Hades by the god of the underworld himself, Cerberus had a singular, crucial duty. He was the ultimate gatekeeper. His job wasn't to keep the living out mortals were, on rare occasions, allowed to enter. No, Cerberus's primary function was to ensure that once a soul had crossed the river Styx, it could never, ever return to the land of the living. He was a one-way door policy made flesh and fang. He would greet the newly arrived shades with a deceptively friendly wag of his serpent tail, luring them deeper into the darkness. But should any spirit try to flee, to escape their fate and return to the sunlight, Cerberus would transform. His 3 heads would erupt in a cacophony of barks, and he would mercilessly devour the unfortunate soul, condemning them to eternal oblivion within the belly of the beast. He was the inescapable consequence, the final lock on the prison of the dead. For centuries, Cerberus performed his duty unchallenged. No soul escaped his watch. But legends are not made from uneventful guard shifts. They are forged in extraordinary encounters, and Cerberus was about to face the greatest hero of them all, Heracles, as his 12th and final labor, a task deemed impossible by King Eurystheus. Heracles was commanded to descend into the underworld and bring Cerberus back to the world of the living. This was no simple monster-slaying quest. This was a direct defiance of the laws of nature and death. Guided by Hermes and Athena, Heracles journeyed into the bleak domain of Hades. When he came before the god of the underworld and his queen Persephone, he respectfully requested permission to borrow their pet. Hades, amused and perhaps a little arrogant, agreed. But on one condition, Heracles had to overpower the monstrous dog using only his bare hands, without any weapons. What followed was a battle of epic proportions. The demigod versus the hellhound. Heracles, relying on his divine strength, grappled with the beast. The 3 heads snapped and bit, the snake tail struck, and the serpent mane hissed with venom. But Heracles was relentless. He wrapped his powerful arms around the creature's necks, squeezing with all his might, slowly choking the beast into submission. The ground trembled with their struggle, but eventually, the seemingly invincible guardian of Hades slumped, defeated. Heracles slung the colossal 3-headed dog over his shoulders and began the arduous journey back to the surface. When Heracles presented the whimpering, terrified Cerberus to King Eurystheus, the king was so horrified he leaped into a large storage jar to hide. The task was complete. The impossible had been achieved. Having proven his point, Heracles, ever the honorable hero, returned the chastened hound to its post at the gates of Hades, where it resumed its solemn duty, perhaps a little more wary of visitors from the world above. But brute force wasn't the only way to bypass the guardian of the underworld. Where Heracles used strength, another legendary figure used art. This was Orpheus, the master musician whose skill with the lyre was so profound it could charm animals, trees, and even rocks. When his beloved wife Eurydice died tragically from a snakebite, the grief-stricken Orpheus resolved to do what no mortal had ever done before, retrieve a soul from the clutches of death. He journeyed to the underworld, his heart heavy but his fingers ready. As he approached the gates, Cerberus rose to meet him, his 3 throats rumbling with a low growl, ready to attack. But then, Orpheus began to play his lyre. He poured all of his sorrow, his love, and his despair into a melody so beautiful and haunting that it stilled the very air of Hades. The effect was immediate and miraculous. The snarling heads of Cerberus grew quiet. The writhing snakes on his back became calm. The fearsome guardian of the dead lay down, completely pacified by the music, and let Orpheus pass without a struggle. His music not only soothed the beast, but also moved Hades and Persephone so deeply that they agreed to let Eurydice return, though under a tragic condition that Orpheus would ultimately fail to meet. Still, his tale proved that even the most monstrous heart could be touched by beauty. From the gates of hell to the pages of literature and the canvases of art, Cerberus has left an indelible paw print on human culture. He is more than just a mythological monster. He is a powerful symbol. He represents the final, insurmountable barrier between life and death, the terrifying guardian at the edge of our existence. He appears in Dante's Inferno, not as a guardian, but as a tormentor, eternally ripping apart the souls of the gluttonous. He has inspired countless works of art, from ancient Greek pottery depicting his struggle with Heracles, to Renaissance paintings and modern fantasy illustrations. Today, the name Cerberus is synonymous with any fierce or vigilant guard. His image continues to fascinate us, a perfect blend of horror and awe. He reminds us of the ancient Greeks' profound and often terrifying vision of the afterlife, a world with its own rules, its own gods, and its own monstrous protectors. The three-headed hound of Hades may be a creature of myth, but his legacy as the ultimate gatekeeper is immortal. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the underworld. If you enjoyed this mythological deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the ancient world. See you next time.